Good morning. That was a great intro from Stephen. He's doing some great work at Stanford, great work with Toyota, and we're excited about the collaboration with Accenture as well. What I wanted to do with you this morning is to talk a little bit about AI in business and the impact we're seeing on business and what's happening. Because we all hear a lot about artificial intelligence. It's something I think that we're all very interested in. I think this is a self-selecting audience. And we talk a lot about the benefits of AI, we talk a lot about some of the risks of AI, but there hasn't been a lot of research done on AI in business, and that's what I'm going to share with you today, is some of the research we've done and some of the perspectives that we have around how artificial intelligence really creates a new era in terms of business and imagining business and how it works. And we believe this is a big, dramatic impact. And there we go, clicker works. There's a couple of questions here. You see some things building on the background here where artificial intelligence is becoming essential in fueling a lot of the technology innovations that are becoming commonplace for us. So you can see some of the things on the screen here: drones, robotics, virtual agents, autonomous vehicles, etc. And artificial intelligence is at the heart of those things. When you look at it, there's a few questions you think about from an AI perspective. The first is it now? When you think about AI. And we say, is it now? I think we'd all say, I would say AI is now. The answer to that question is yes, AI is now. The other question from a business perspective is it big? And the answer to that is a resounding yes, and I'll share some numbers with you in a minute. And the third question is, do we completely understand AI and how to apply it? And that's where the answer isn't completely yes yet. I think we know and we see some of the early stage applications, but there's a lot more work to be done to really understand how to apply AI and drive benefit for business. That's what I'll talk to you a little bit about. But for context, if you think about what's happening against the backdrop of technology and many innovations in technology, there we go. It's helpful to look for context of where we're coming from, and that's what this chart will show you as it builds out here. And many of you have lived through many of these technology waves, so this won't be new news to many of you, but there's some interesting points in here. The curve with the slowest slope, with the least slope in there, is the mainframe, the evolution of the mainframe. And what you see here is time on the x-axis and market adoption in the enterprise on the y-axis. And you can see mainframe, the purple curve there, had a reasonably slow adoption. Then you can see the yellow curve is distributed computing, PC, client server coming into play. Then you can see cloud computing coming into play, mobile computing, IoT, etc., leading to where we are in the circled area with the innovation or the combination of a lot of these technologies. We talk about the combinatorial effect of these waves coming together, which is one key point of this slide. And when we think about artificial intelligence, that combinatorial effect is really important. And you saw some examples of combinatorial effect with the prior videos. And that's what we need to keep thinking about as we think about artificial intelligence. The other important point of this picture is that the slope of these curves keeps increasing. The slope is increasingly steep, which has big implications from a business perspective. And the waves come closer and closer together. It's like a Doppler effect as we have additional technologies layering on, but the waves become more condensed. The combination of condensed waves and steeper slopes means that from a business perspective, any of us involved in business need to think about this very differently. It's not okay to be a fast follower. It's not okay to see how these technologies are adopted by your competitors, which was okay up until as recently as several years ago. The change is coming so fast that you can't stay ahead, you can't differentiate your own business if you don't take the stance of being an innovator and staying ahead of relevant technologies. One of the best examples of this is blockchain, what's happened with blockchain. 3 years ago, from an enterprise perspective, most organizations discounted blockchain as an integral part of Bitcoin and virtual currency schemes that they didn't have to pay attention to. 3 years later, we're in the process of building out major stock exchanges on blockchain, settlement clearing systems on blockchain, shipping manifest clearing systems on blockchain, because we understood that the architecture inherent in blockchain that was supporting the Bitcoin and virtual currency had unique and important properties that were really important in differentiating for business. And that's why you can't wait for these things to develop. You have to stay ahead and innovate around them. Now, AI I show here is starting more recently. That's really only in the enterprise. With AI really standing on the shoulders of giants, folks like Minsky, McCarthy, Weizenbaum, who did research a long time ago, and back many, many years ago. And my own exposure to AI started in 1984 when Douglas Hofstadter visited the University of Michigan, where I was studying, and I attended a seminar that he did for a semester, and read Go Bless Your Bach, which was his book on cognitive science, kind of a breakthrough book, and got me hooked on artificial intelligence. So there's been a lot of progression of innovations building with artificial intelligence in a similarly combinatorial way. So but what we're seeing now is AI getting to a point where we really are at the tipping point of adoption into the enterprise, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. And then, you see, why is it, or what's the evidence that it's becoming, AI is becoming more commonplace? You see some of the points on the slide here. In 2011, Watson famously beat Ken Jennings. Earlier this year, DeepMind's Alpha famously beat the Go Master, which was incredibly impressive because that was something you couldn't do with brute force. You needed to solve through nuance, intuition, and other techniques. And I think many of us recognize that step with Alpha beating the Go Master, the world's foremost Go Master, as a really important step in really truly understanding learning and intelligence and building that into systems. And then you can see some of the other stats. Venture capital investment is up 10 times in artificial intelligence, is up by a factor of 10 times over 5 years to $2.5 billion. That you see up there. Patents, at an all-time high. Startups, this is the place where the startups are happening. So we see all the evidence, and what that means, what's the impact of that going to be on enterprises, on businesses, for those of us that work in businesses. And there's a few things here that I'd highlight. One is, in 5 years, I think we're going to see a fundamental change in terms of how we think about AI in business. One point is what I say here, which is that AI will become a first-class citizen in enterprise. What does that mean? That means that right now we think of AI, about half the companies that we survey would say they're doing something with AI right now, about half the companies. But they might be doing a little bit over here, expert system over here, a little bit of machine learning over there, chatbot over here. No systematic fundamental adoption, by and large, among enterprises. But I think we're going to see that change where AI becomes a first-class citizen. It'll be important to understand and inventory and map the intelligence, the artificial intelligence in your organization, as it is to understand your org chart, your employee directory, and your fundamental aspects of how your business runs. And that's the way we'll think about AI. That'll mean that we have to think about a fundamentally different enterprise architecture. If you look at the way that companies are deploying AI now, we're extracting data and putting them into ML engines, or we're bolting on capability in different places. And I think that's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to work for very long. And the way we think about enterprise architecture is built on infrastructure, whether it's cloud or on-premise, with data, middleware, applications, and business processes. It's going to be shaken apart. It isn't going to be sustainable in an AI world where you need to think about the way that knowledge and intelligence is represented across those layers. It's going to lead us to a new way of thinking about how we construct business and our enterprise architecture. And I think this is going to really disrupt and change the face of the software industry itself. And I think this is where it stands to see major disruption. Why will enterprises buy software, sequential, kind of traditional software applications, when they can buy, say, intelligent agents that can do the invoice processing? I'll talk about an example later, rather than buying the underlying software itself. What if you can train the agents to use multiple types of software? Why do you care what software you're running? It's like we stand for a potential real disruption in the unit of consumption of the enterprise. Will it still be software? Or will software start to look as strategic as Ethernet cables are to the enterprise today? The real differentiator becomes the intelligence, the way the intelligence is packaged into solutions for the enterprise. And then, this also stands to unleash new levels of productivity and ultimately creativity for humans in general, and in businesses in particular. The combination of productivity and creativity becomes very important in terms of driving growth, which I'll talk about in a minute. So that's what we think is happening. AI, I don't need to spend too much time on this with this audience, but we define it simply as systems that can sense, get input from the outside world. They can comprehend, understand, they can act, take action, do things, and then they can learn and improve and get better over time. And that combination of sense, comprehend, act, and learn is what we would say defines artificial intelligence. And there's many techniques, just going back here a second, there's many techniques. I'm not going to train this slide because I think many sessions are going to talk about different techniques, technologies, and approaches with artificial intelligence. This is a big, broad area with many different domains and techniques, which is why we think it's important to step back and think about how you apply AI to business differently. Because it's about how you look at the combination of the different techniques and technologies and really reimagine and rethink your business. And that's the point of this report that we released this morning. So this is was released a few hours ago. You can download a copy of it. And it's called AI, the New Factor of Production. That's what the cover of the report looks like. AI, the New Factor of Production. It talks about a fundamentally different way of looking at how AI impacts the economy and how AI impacts business. I'll give you a few highlights, then you can read the rest of the report. But what the report says that, and we looked over long-term horizons, we looked over a couple decades because we're at the early stage of this, we have to really project out to see the impact. But what we saw from the analysis we did is, well, first of all, stepping back, we asked the question, what is the impact of AI on business, productivity, and economic growth? And you can see the headlines up here. And we had a team of economists and researchers and statisticians look at this and report through the data across 12 economies, 12 countries that represent about 50% of the world GDP. And AI, based on the analysis we did, is poised to double the rate of economic growth by 2035 for these economies. In the U.S., that will take the economic growth from now to 2.6% annual growth to potentially 4.5% annual growth. Just to put that in numerical terms, that means an expansion of the U.S. economy by $8 trillion by 2035 if the potential is fully realized. In a country like Germany, it would mean growth rate moving from about 1.5% GDP growth to 3% GDP growth, which would be about $1 trillion increase in Germany's economic output. Big numbers, big impact. And an underlying reason for this is, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, is that from the research we did, we believe AI has a potential much greater than previous technologies to unleash new levels of human productivity improvement, up to 40% in different categories and different areas, depending on the nature of the work. And that productivity improvement is very significant. And another thing that's very important in this is we really believe you have to think about this economic analysis differently in the world of AI. Traditionally, economists look at labor and capital. You look at capital investment, return on capital, you look at labor distribution, growth of labor and productivity. We think AI is different than previous technologies. You need to add a new component to the equation, which is the impact and changing AI impact. Because AI has a unique kind of impact. You tend to invest in capital deteriorates over time. Labor, you invest in labor scales very slowly. The difference with AI is that AI is different than capital, that AI allows capital to be deployed more efficiently because you can get better utilization, reduce downtime, etc. by better use of AI, so it improves capital. AI improves labor scalability and distribution to make humans more intelligent, more quickly spread knowledge. And then AI itself